living things really don't like being eaten. Just like a gazelle has predators, so do plants.
But none attacks its prey with more fury than the seaweed shark.
A gazelle can run away to avoid being eaten, but what can a plant do when a bug or human shows up? While we are masters of locomotion, plants are fantastic chemists. I'm talking about secondary metabolites, or plant toxins. One of the perks of us humans being intelligent is that we've learned to avoid the highly poisonous plants and have developed methods for deactivating the toxins of others. Though in certain cases, some people can have problems with plant food toxins which don't affect the rest of the population. For example, I grew up in the heat of Texas, yet never had any problems with the photosensitizers in lime or celery. Unfortunately, these poor girls did, experiencing second-degree burns from limes. Photosensitizers, technically called furanocoumarins, are toxins in plants that make animals and humans sensitive to light. And virtually all plant foods we normally consume have some level of defense against plant eaters. According to this 1990 paper titled Dietary Pesticides 99% All Natural, led by biochemist Bruce N. Ames, 99% of the pesticides in the American diet are chemicals that plants produce to defend themselves. Only 52 natural pesticides have been tested in high-dose animal cancer tests, and about half, 27, are rodent carcinogens. These 27 are shown to be present in many common foods. The paper goes on to list 57 different plant foods with these carcinogens. And Table 1 identifies 49 natural pesticides and metabolites found in cabbage alone. Now, before it sounds like I'm saying shopping in the produce section is slowly killing you, let me point out that we're not rats and hormesis has to be taken into account. Hormesis is essentially the concept of a good stress, that is, the dose makes the poison, or what harms me in the right way and not too much makes me stronger. For example, just like you or me, broccoli really doesn't like to be chewed on. So when broccoli is cut or chomped on, glucoraphanin in the broccoli is activated through an enzyme myrosinase to form an isothiocyanate, a toxin called sulforaphane. This molecule is designed to kill small living creatures, but for us it can be good. It's a mild stress that our bodies gear up for, and the end result is we wind up stronger. Dr. Rhonda Patrick has an extensive video explaining the vast and impressive potential benefits of this compound, everything from preventing cancers, ameliorating existing cancers, to lowering inflammation and preventing cognitive decline. But we can't say all the defense mechanisms of every plant food result in a hormetic effect for everyone. This table, from a presentation done by Dr. Mayalan Fontes, shows a couple different types of bioactive plant compounds that can be damaging. One is the anti-nutrient phytic acid, or phytates, which come from grains, nuts, and legumes, and bind to nutrients like calcium, iron, potassium, magnesium, manganese, and zinc, making them less absorbable. But the phytic acid doesn't just impair you from absorbing the nutrients in the seed itself, it also impairs absorption of nutrients from other foods you eat. For example, as this study found, when you consume zinc-rich oysters with black beans, you'll absorb about half of that zinc. And when you consume them with corn tortillas, you'll absorb almost none of that zinc. Another substance found in common plant food with low-level toxicity is oxalate. It's found in bran, beets, rhubarb, soy, blueberries, lime peel, orange peel, nuts, and several other things. Since oxalate is usually more concentrated in the leaves of plants, spinach is particularly high in it. According to Hayshek and Rousseau's Handbook of Toxicologic Pathology, insoluble plant oxalates include calcium oxalate. When animals eat these plants, the crystals are immediately irritating, causing mechanical damage to the oral cavity and gastrointestinal tract. Obviously, the levels in food that we normally eat are way too low to cause any immediately apparent effects, but high levels of oxalate are no joke. In 1989, a 53-year-old diabetic alcoholic man died just a few hours after having 6 grams worth of oxalate from sorrel soup. This is the equivalent of about a half kilo of spinach. However, keep in mind this person was already severely metabolically impaired. About 2.5 kilos or 5.5 pounds of spinach, if you can fit it into your stomach, has a 50% chance of killing a healthy person. However, as Sally Norton argues in this talk, while the oxalate levels found in food may not produce any quickly apparent effects, problems can arise when you repeatedly expose yourself to oxalates through your diet by eating things like spinach, almonds, and cashews.
You can easily exceed your tolerance for oxalate, even though it looks like your kidneys are just fine. And that 4% of what you're eating is being retained in tissues left behind, causing issues.
Tiny oxalate crystals can accumulate in the body, and you can find them in the bone, the skin, and the glands. Accumulation in the thyroid impairs thyroid function. Accumulation in the breast has been linked to cancer, and accumulation in the kidneys leads to kidney stones. 70 to 80% of all kidney stones are made of calcium oxalate. So if you have kidney stones, poor kidney function, or poor thyroid function, you may feel better on a low, under 50 milligram oxalate diet. This means no more than 6 leaves of spinach a day. There's all kinds of secondary metabolites we could talk about, but the point is plants really don't want you to eat them, and these defense mechanisms are in virtually every single plant food. The gliadin protein in wheat disrupts the physical barrier of the gut, causing inflammation. Protease inhibitors in things like grains, nuts, and seeds, and soy inhibit some of the enzymes that help us digest protein. Soy also contains phytoestrogens, which bind to estrogen receptors and cause hormonal issues. Goitrogens are found in soy, other legumes, and cruciferous vegetables, and hamper thyroid health. Saponins, which are found in soy, beans, peas, lentils, and other legumes, are used as emulsifiers in the food and cosmetic industry, and can cause damage to the gut lining, making it more permeable or leaky. There's also a huge variety of plant lectins that some people can be very sensitive to. But of course, there are tons of studies talking about the vast benefits of all kinds of plant compounds. And a lot of people seem to thrive on a plant-based diet. So it surely comes down to how each person responds to these substances. One level of a secondary metabolite from plants may be a beneficial hormetic stress for one person, while at the same time being a detrimental toxin for another person.